Hi friends, host Eric here, host talking with famous people, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some stuff in the comments of the God one. So I don't know how in the hell I missed Bob Harrison and like replied to everybody else in this thread, and his is 2 weeks ago, but somehow I missed him. I don't know. Shit happens. He said some interesting things. First of all, he calls me out on my burdens point. I'm trying to put the burden on Gord. If you recall, you probably don't. But I'm saying basically, Gord Thor, you're rolling in here and saying God does not exist. And you're trying to say that you're trying to compel me to meet some sort of burden, but you're the one making the claim. It was kind of specious. It was kind of bullshit what I was doing there, right? But, to be honest, when I went to tackle that video, I did several takes on it, and I ended up going debate mode rather than truth mode because there's not much to say about it, really, otherwise. Anyway, Bob Harrison makes the correct argument. He says, the default position is not a position. Default is a newborn who never even thought about the existence of a deity. It is a neutrality. The burden of proof lies on he who makes a positive claim. Very standard, very well established idea. Okay, you got me. You got me. But it's like I never get caught on that shit. Never. I never get caught on shit like that. Good job, Bob Harrison. You're a fucking beast. I make those sort of claims. People don't overturn them on me. They don't understand. They don't understand well enough. That's the thing. They just don't understand well enough. I hope they learn in the process. Yes. You don't need to hammer it home. If one makes a statement there's not a God, then one must provide proof. If somebody says there definitely is one, proof should be provided as well for both our claims. Of course. But I didn't make the claim that God existed. I said I was a theist. So your answer here is correct. Is an answer to my answer to Gord. It's correct there on the flow. Only there. Okay? You can't hold me to any burdens because I didn't make any claims about God's existence. I just said I was a theist. You're going to say, well, Eric, that's like saying I didn't make any claims about being single male. I just said I was a bachelor. No, it's not like that at all, actually. Because my central point is these conversations about God are making a category error. It's more like saying, it's almost like I told Gore, you've got one party saying that those bananas are mean, and the other party saying those bananas are nice. They're both wrong. If one party saying those bananas are mean, and the other party saying no, those bananas aren't mean, they're still both wrong. It's a category error. That's why there's not much to say about it. The non-position position is I don't know. I don't know because there's no good evidence I've ever seen from a theist making a positive claim about their deity's existence, or a very rare atheist saying that 100% does not exist. I lack belief for lack of evidence. You lack belief because it's not a real thing. You choose not to behave, and you choose not to engage in behaviors of faith. That's fine. You assume the behaviors of faith are predicated on this thing called a belief. That's the category error. I don't possess beliefs. They certainly don't possess me. I behave according through certain belief framings. Now, let's go down to your second comment, which is bullshit. First comment was brilliant, right on the money. Second comment was bullshit. About different reference frames. It's not about that. If you look at a line from the perspective that it does not exist, that does not poof it away. Logic is something that is independent of reference frame. 2 plus 2 equals 4 in India or Britain kind of thing. Okay, so right away, He's describing a closed system quality, not an open system quality. We know that. 2 plus 2 is always 4. Correct. And it's a good idea to pull that guy over right now because he's going 100 miles an hour is not always correct. Usually. Maybe. Sometimes. Hard to say. However, even if we can say that the logic is consistent and indicates a given outcome in a given circumstance, the problem is you're so stuck in your singular frame of reference that you don't understand what frames of references are. Because what I'm saying is not that you should look at a line from the perspective that does not exist. I'm saying that's what you're doing now. That's what you're doing right now. You're looking at things through a limited set of frames that you have because you're attached to them. You're attached to this TI frame. So you're looking at things through that frame, whether or not it's the best frame to use in a given circumstance. So it's the opposite of what you're saying. I'm saying we have to be able to, when we see that line, we need to be able to shift perspectives and go, oh shit, I need to go into avoid lion death mode. And whatever set of perspectives that entails, I don't know. But that's my point. Your point is basically it's that you can't have a frame of reference for metaphysical things, which is silly. Of course you can. Of course you have to. You do. It's called prioritizing a systemic approach to understanding conclusions by adopting the artificial conceit of a possessed belief, which you've internalized so that you think you have beliefs. When you are able to do it, eventually, maybe, you won't be encumbered thusly anymore. You'll still be consistent. In fact, you'll be way, way, way more consistent. 100,000 times more consistent. Because you won't be attached to the notion that a frame's utility is contingent upon its resonance within your existing preferred frame. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to be a little bit less pedantic. A little bit. I understand that it doesn't come across well. People hate arrogance more than anything. And when I take this tone of like, I know everything, and I'm going to teach it all to you because you're an idiot, that people fucking hate that. I don't know why I still do it. It's just, I have a lot of life doing that. I spend a lot of time doing that in my life, so I'm an asshole, I guess. But I think this was nicer than most of these videos. And Bob Harrison, I'm not shitting you. Like, the way you dismantled my claims burdens argument was perfect. Perfect. Good job. Thank you. Gord Thor, that's the answer to the burdens claim argument. Not the one you made. Well, let's look at Gord Thor's answer to the burdens claim argument. And why, and so we can note the difference and see why he says, come on, Eric, majority rules, you know better than that. The default state is believing in God. Which God? Is the default state believing in Thor? Well, what I'm saying is the default state, okay, first of all, that wasn't the warrant, right? The warrant wasn't that the majority of people already believe in God, and that's why you have the burden. The warrant was majority of people already believe in God. That's the status quo. The status quo is the ground of the neg side. The neg gets status quo. So that's why this argument doesn't work. It doesn't address that warrant. Whereas, in contrast, this one does address the warrant because he explains that, in fact, that's not the status quo. He says, no, that's not the status quo. The status quo is like a baby. That's your default. That's your status quo. You instead, in Gord Thor, what he does is he says that the fact that it's the status quo is irrelevant because, and he goes back into the same argument chains. But those argument chains don't prove that the fact that the status quo is irrelevant at all because that's contention level argument, not framework. And obviously, contention level argument has to adhere to the rules of the framework arguments. So, yeah. Bob Harrison, congratulations for getting that one right and catching me.